right? Super important what we're trying to accomplish here in making men fear you. Now, let me be very clear with you in what I really am trying to get at when I'm talking about fear and the type of fear that we want to instill here. We're trying to instill the proper amount of fear that a man will need to properly treat you the right way in a relationship. So I'm not talking about the fear in which he's scared that you're going to hit him or jump off the top ropes and body slam him. I'm talking about this very specific type of fear. So let's draw a little bit of a visual to start us off so we're all of the same understanding. And this is going to be a little bit of a funny visual. You guys will get a kick out of this, okay? So what we don't want is for men to feel like this, right? We don't want men to feel like they are, let me draw you here. We don't want, we'll even go, I'll really help you visualize this way. Okay, and we'll put another one of you here. Maybe some of you know where I'm getting at with this. Tell me you know where I'm getting at with this. I'm gonna draw a bunch of you and let another one over here. And another one over here. Right? We don't want men to feel like they are the sun that exists in your life and you essentially are like, you know, kind of like the earth and you just revolve around him, right? And without him, there is no light in your life. Without him, there is no sunshine in your life. Without him, there is no goodness or happiness in your life. The reason I say this is because the fear that you actually want to instill in men when you begin dating them or talking to them is that you don't need them. Okay? What I mean by you don't need them, when you start dating guys, you do not want to fall quickly into the cycle of making him feel like he is so important to you and so important in your life that you cannot go without him. You might think, well, Tomisin, why would I purposely want to go out on my dates, be mean to men, make them feel like I don't care? All of these games are so silly and so dumb to be playing with people. If I care, I want to be able to care. If I like him, I want to be able to like him. Here's the thing though, and this is the problem with men and how they're wired to receive information. When you make them feel like they're the most important thing ever, and they're the most important thing specifically to you and in your life, they will actually end up mistreating you instead of treating you well. Because when they realize that they are the sun which you revolve around, and they realize their level of importance in your life, they'll also realize that that means they can do things that are bad, mischievous, they can mistreat you, they can not show up for you, and because they're such an important part of your life already, you'll be willing to overlook that because you just can't get rid of him. Because without him, there is no sunshine, there is no happiness. Okay? But you don't want men in that position. And I know it sounds unfortunate because you're thinking, damn, these men are evil. They're not necessarily evil people, but a lot of men, well, I shouldn't say a lot of men, all men are opportunists, which means when they see a woman that is a good opportunity, they will take that opportunity if it presents itself to him. What is an opportunity in this scenario? An opportunity is a woman who will put him above anything else without him ever investing himself into you. Okay? I'm not saying that you're never going to invest yourself in a man ever at all, right? Obviously, I want you to get that to that point in a relationship at some point. But what we don't want is for you to be over investing in men who have done absolutely nothing for you. And in some cases, they don't even have an intention of building anything with you. They just want to use and extract from you. So we have to present from the very beginning that you don't need men. What does that actually look like when you're saying, okay, I don't need men? You make sure that from the very beginning, once you start dating a guy, especially if you're going out with someone who you would consider, oh, this is my type. This guy's my type of personality. This guy has the height the money, the stature, the everything that I'm looking for. The very first thing you do after you recognize that is happening and that is how you're feeling, the very first thing you do is you say, perfect. Now I know I'm going to take a hard stance and make sure I keep all of my hobbies, all of my interests. I make sure I manage my time to a T where I always have time set aside for myself. The reason I say that, and the reason I'm saying you're going to take a hard stance, is because the moment you feel yourself saying internally, I really like him and I really want this to work out, that's the moment things can fall apart. Because that's the moment you're going to be mentally inclined and emotionally inclined to just say, oh, I just want to let go. I just want to love you with all my heart. I just want to confess to you how much I need you and want to be with you. And I don't want anyone else. I don't want to date anyone else. I don't want to look at anyone else. I only want to breathe in your air. Don't get like that. Do not get like that. It will end very, very badly for you. When you make men feel like that from the very beginning, they will always recognize that as an opportunity to take advantage of you and take advantage of this situation. Do not make men feel like you need them. Make sure when you start dating a guy, you keep your life, you keep your friends, and you never sacrifice anything. I know it sounds horrible, but the reason I want to keep you that way is because it keeps you in a very particular emotional state. And it keeps you level-headed enough to receive him when he shows up for you and chooses to show up for you, and also be able to analyze and observe his behavior in the ways that he's not showing up for you, and not be so discombobulated when he might not show up for you that you lose your mind and make him feel overly important. You know how we talk about over-explaining? This is making a man feel overly important. He has to have fear that you don't need him, because that fear is going to motivate him internally to continue showing up for you. And I'm going to show you how this works in our next point, okay? So, very, very important. From the jump, you do not make men feel like you need them. I know it sounds mean. I know it sounds cold-hearted, but that's the reality of the dating world. When you go out into the dating world, it's a war. You gonna make men feel like they're the best thing since sliced bread? Oh, trust me, you gonna get that treatment. I tell you, that treatment gonna come to you. All right, let's hop into number 2. Please understand. Also, very, very, very important for your life and the success of your relationships. Damn, that was good. Right? So we're going to put commit here, and then we're also going to put walk away here. So at a certain point in your relationships, whenever you start dating a guy, you know, ideally, obviously, you wouldn't have to go on a whole bunch of dates in order to figure out the guy that you're going to end up marrying. But the reality of it is, some of you are going to have to date a lot of frogs, okay? Or kiss a lot of frogs, as the saying goes. So the reason I say this is because it's very important to present yourself this way when you're dating men, that you are more than willing to walk away from them if they do not show up for you how you expect them to show up for you, okay? The reason I say this, remember how we talked about in our earlier point about needing men and making sure from the jump you don't make them feel like they're the sun that is to your earth, that you're revolving around them because they're the most important thing in your life. It's the same reason in a different way, but in this sense, we want to make men feel like you're more than willing to walk away, because at some point, right, in a relationship or in a talking stage while you're dating a guy, you're going to come to a crossroads here, right? You're going to come to a crossroads where you're going to have to make a decision, because as time is going on and you're building and building this connection and this bond, well, you should be at least, you're going to get to a point where you either have to decide, all right, I'm also ready for commitment. I've seen what I need to see from you. You've been consistent with me, and you've shown up for me in the ways that I expect a man to show up for me. That will either happen, or you'll get to a point where it becomes very evident to you that this guy is not what you're looking for. He's not going to show up for you how you expect a man to show up for you, and he's going to be very inconsistent with you. When you get to that crossroads, you have to make sure that he is aware, and also you're aware for yourself, that you are more than willing to walk away if he makes a choice to not show up for you how you expect him to show up for you, right? So let me even put it here. In order for you to get to this place here, he must, let me write this better so we can all see it. He must show up, okay? In order for you to get to this place of commitment and go on this side of the road over here, he has to show up for you in the ways that you expect a man to show up for you, who is going to be your boyfriend and then eventually your husband. If he does not make this choice, I told you, it's his choice. I told you, it's his choice. If he does not make this choice to commit himself to you, be consistent with you, and show up for you how you expect him to show up for you, then you will gladly choose this road. Okay? Right? So I'll even put it here. He does not show up. Okay? If he chooses this here by not showing up for you, you'll gladly walk away. So how do you show a man that you're more than willing to walk away? Well, you start off from the very beginning by explaining to him, and this is where we're going to get deep in the weeds here. You start off from the very beginning when you go on even that very first date, telling him some horror stories about the previous men in your life that tried to be inconsistent, that tried to not show up for you, that tried to pull a fast one on you and think that they were going to just extract, and they would never have to give anything in return. You tell them horror stories about how those situations never worked out for them, because you're someone who understands your value and you're not going to sit around and be mistreated. That's how you start it from the jump, painting a narrative that you're willing to walk away. Then the other way you begin to paint this narrative and bring him that understanding that you're willing to walk away is by punishing him whenever he chooses to disrespect you or cross one of your boundaries. Now, how do you punish a man? We've had a whole show on it, but let me give you the gist and the summary of it. In order to properly punish a man, especially at the beginning, you withdraw. And you withdraw without any explanation of why you're withdrawing. You take back your energy, you take back your investment, you take back your time, and you take back your attention. Even when it's something small at the beginning. Because then you're showing him right from the jump, even in a small sample size, that you are more than willing to walk away if he does not choose to show up for you how you expect a man to show up for you. Okay? And if he doesn't care to fix the situation, if he doesn't care to work on it, if he doesn't care to ask questions, if he doesn't care to actually find a solution or a compromise that works for you, then that's perfectly fine. Your withdrawal will turn into you just completely walking away. Right? And you have to come into, see, this is why it's so important. When I say you want him to fear you, this is also a mindset that you walk into your relationship with. You walk into that first date with. And I know it sounds a little bit scary the way I'm trying to set you up to be and the mindset I'm trying to instill inside you. But it's the best way to go about your dating life. Because when you walk into that first date saying to yourself, okay, let's see what you got. Let's see what I can expect from you, or let's see what you're ready to show me. If you can't show me what I'm looking for, perfectly fine. No hard feelings. I'm not upset at you. I'm not mad. I'm not going to scream and yell. I'm just going to walk away. When you walk into a date with that mindset, I promise you, you will present a very different side of yourself. And the energy that you'll bring to a date when you present that side of yourself will actually, ironically, make you so much more attractive to men. You know, I talked about, the show is about men fearing you. And we talked about in our last point, making them feel like you don't need them. And here, making them feel like you're willing to walk away. But the thing about it is, when you actually make them feel like that, instead of them disliking you, the men that already have interest in you end up liking you more. Because it speaks to your level of value when you approach a dating stage or a talking stage like this. because they know the only women willing to walk away that don't need them are women with options. So it's ironic when you instill fear in them, you're actually helping them understand that you have value, number one, and that you have options, number two, both of which are actually very attractive to men, which is why this is kind of counterintuitive when we're talking about making a man fear you. Okay? Are we all on the same page so far? Henya says, no screaming and yelling. Absolutely not. Please, no screaming and yelling. Okay. Let's hop into point number 3. You're always willing to walk away no matter, going on my eraser. What the hell? No matter what, you willing to walk away. Okay. Alrighty. Let's hop into our third point, which is going to sound funny. I mentioned this just a little bit ago in our point previously, but I also think it's important to paint this very awesome visual for you that will also make this easier to understand. Okay, so I'll even put up here, instead of just putting man, I'll make this very clear. In the middle here, we'll put your man. Right? So here's the thing that I want you to visualize in this point here. I want you to always make sure you instill fear in men that it is possible, let me rephrase this. I want you to instill fear in men that it is possible for you to be stolen by any one of these men who are also hungry and thirsty to get your attention, to sniff your seat, to take a whiff of your farts, to smell your butthole. All of them are hungry, thirsty, and starving to get just a whiff of you. It's very important to present yourself like this, to instill this fear in him, and to never make him feel too overly comfortable. Let me tell you how you do that, because some of you are wondering, am I supposed to like shake my ass to sexy red in front of other men? Is that how I do that? No. What you're gonna do here is, see, as time goes on and you're building this relationship, guys will attempt to do something very, very slick. It's very slick, okay? They'll attempt to do something where they mention in passing, as you guys are having conversation, he'll say, oh, me and you, we've been dating for a while, but it's like, it's been a while since, we've been together, and you're not dating anyone else, right? Because it wouldn't really make a lot of sense for you to be going on dates at this point. I feel like it makes a lot more sense if, you're just not dating anyone else, not kissing anyone else, not sleeping with anyone else, right? You're not doing that, right? It's just, you're only, right? Just me, right? Just me and you only. And I want you to respond, well, we're not dating. Like, we're not boyfriend and girlfriend. I'm not saying I'm doing anything weird, but we're also not boyfriend and girlfriend. I can't just close everything off and not be open to anything. See, this is going to make some of you very uncomfortable to say. And I know it will, because I know when you like a guy and you're really interested in that guy, the idea of actually telling him something that he may not want to hear is painful for you. But I want to warn you and let you know that this fear that you will instill in him, that you might get stolen, is actually a good thing. Especially if this is coming up because he's asking a question about, hey, are we doing an exclusive thing? I don't really want you to date anyone else. Because guys are going to try to be slick about this. In the way that they'll ask about it, they'll try to get you to commit to an answer of, oh, I won't sleep with anyone else. I won't go out on a date with anyone else. I won't kiss or talk to anyone else. I'll only be focused on you, despite the fact he has yet to ask you to be his girlfriend. Now, I'm not saying it's not okay for you guys to kind of transition from dating to being exclusive to actually being boyfriend and girlfriend. But see, when guys aren't committing themselves to you, and then they're trying to kind of force your hand or get you to admit to committing to them. That's not the position you want to be in. You want to continue to instill fear in him that you might be stolen unless he actually takes the reins here and commits himself to you by asking you to be his girlfriend. I know it sounds very, like an evil villain plot in doing that, and in order I'm planning like that and thinking about that far down the line, but it's very important to understand that you have to leave something left as an incentive to progress the relationship forward. Progression in a relationship is such an important part of a healthy relationship, and going from just being, casual people dating to actually being boyfriend and girlfriend and then eventually husband and wife. But the key element of that progression is it has to be led by the man, because if it's led by you, the relationship will fall apart. You guys won't be playing your proper roles that you're meant to be playing, okay? So it's very important that he has a little bit of that fear that you will be stolen from him if he does not do something about it. Okay. And then you allow the men, you don't have to spell it out for him. Hey, maybe we should be together and be exclusive with each other by you asking me to be your girlfriend. No. Don't spell it out for him. You just, whenever he brings it up, right? Because he's bringing it up because he's having a little bit of anxiety and he's hoping that your answer will ease some of his anxiety. Don't ease his anxiety. Okay. Not even a little bit. You give him a very vague answer. And a nice little word salad that doesn't really mean anything and doesn't really make him feel like he knows if you won't be dating or going out with anyone else. The more he can question that, the better, especially when at that point you still have all your leverage. And we talked about leverage in previous shows. When I say leverage, I'm referring to the fact that you haven't yet slept with him or really given him anything. When you still have all of that leverage at your disposal, and you answer that question vaguely, he's starting to get really anxious now because he's starting to say, damn, I might have to do some things here. I might have to move some things around because I feel like I might lose her. And I haven't even gotten anything from her. I haven't gotten to sleep with her. All I've done is invest in her. And some other guy might come in here from the back door, like the kids say, right? And backdoor me and steal her from me under my nose after I done invested so much damn time, energy, and even money into this woman, okay? He don't want to get backdoored, like the kids say, right? Not in your back door, like backdoor, like going through the back door to steal you. Okay, you get my point. For those of you on the older side, the reason I'm saying that is it's a very important part of getting what you want from men, which is them putting their best foot forward, them trying to invest in you, and them trying to actually do work for you. Okay, in order to progress this relationship forward. I know it sounds very strange, but that fear doesn't end up being a bad thing. It ends up being a little bit of like a motivation, an internal motivation. Let's hop into our fourth point here. Okay. Let's see here. Make him feel like you might get stolen from right under his nose. Backdoored. All right. This one's going to sound weird, our point number 4, but it's not a diss. It just sounds weird when I describe it. Okay? I'm already spelling the word wrong, so don't you worry about all that, spell police. Okay. All right. So, like I said, this example is going to seem a little bit weird. But I promise you it'll make sense in the end, okay? So we're gonna draw you out here. Should we draw you nicely today? Put you, yeah, whatever. We'll give you a little hourglass body. Wow, you have a thin waist. Okay, there's your booty, your legs. All right. Now, I'm gonna draw something out here. You guys are gonna laugh at this. Okay, so let's imagine a scenario here in which you are going to the store, okay? And they're having a Black Friday sale. And let's imagine it's back in the day when the Black Friday sales were actually Black Friday sales. There was a real sale going on. Not this new stuff where they'll give you like 20, 30% off of stuff that is more than the regular price, okay? So we're imagining in this Black Friday sale, you go there and the TV on this Black Friday sale is 90% off. That's insane, okay? And you really, really want to go get this TV at this Black Friday sale because it's already the nice 55-inch OLED TV that you've been wanting, but now they're having it 90% off, and you know everyone else knows that that TV is really expensive regularly and really awesome, so everyone's going to be at the store trying to get it, okay? So you rush to the store and you try to show up as early as you possibly can. Why? Because getting this TV for a Black Friday sale at 90% off is a great opportunity. You're not likely to get this opportunity to get that same amazing 55-inch TV on any other day of the year. And in fact, if you waste time, if you procrastinate, if you get there late, even by a couple of minutes, all of those TVs will be sold out. And you'll miss your opportunity to get this amazing TV at an amazingly low discounted price. Now, how does this connect to you and what we're trying to do here for you in terms of fear? See, you are the TV. Now, let me be very clear with you. You're not the TV in the sense that you're on sale. We're not saying you're putting anything on sale. Nothing for sale with you. What I'm saying is you, as a human being, as amazing and awesome and sexy and elegant as you are like this discounted TV in the sense that you are a great opportunity for any man to be with because you have so many of these amazing qualities. You look so good, you're very attractive, you're knowledgeable, you're smart, you're intelligent, you know how to have conversation. All of these great things that make you such an amazing partner that any man would be lucky to be with you. It makes you such a great opportunity that if he gets the chance to date you, then he better do it right the first time. Because similar to my example here that I gave you with the TV, remember how I said if you show up late, you ain't getting the TV, they're going to be sold out. If you procrastinate and you lollygag, you get stuck in traffic, too late, TV sold out. If anything happens and you don't get there right on time and get your place in line so that you can be one of the people who gets access to this opportunity, you slip up for any reason, you're done. You're cooked. You will never get this opportunity again until maybe next year, if they have this same sale. So that's the thing, and this is the way that I want you to start dating men. I want you to start dating men as if you're giving them an opportunity. Now, I'm not asking you to be arrogant in the way that you approach dating or the way that you talk to men, but what I want you to start doing is thinking to yourself, well, I do have a lot to offer. I am a great person who invests in myself and works on myself, and I have a lot of these great qualities that a man would want in a wife, okay? And you should know what men actually want in a wife because we discuss it on the show. Now, when you have an understanding of that, you also have to approach your dating and talking stages with that mindset. And in your response, the reason I say it starts with your mindset is because similar to our other points, the way you'll begin to talk to men and deal with them or deal with their wrongdoings or deal with the times where they disappoint you or they cross boundaries will be very different when you understand that being with you is an opportunity. And your expectation is that he'll bring a level of urgency to this opportunity because if he's going to lollygag, he's going to come late, he's going to make the same mistakes over and over again and be very slow in trying to fix them or make adjustments, then you'll just go and be with one of the other plenty of men who are asking for your time and attention and energy and focus. Okay? And that's where you have to be mentally. You need to come to the date. You need to come to the talking stage, to the whatever, with the understanding that you're also giving him an opportunity here to get to know you. And the fact that he likes you is amazing, but there should be a level of urgency on his part to make sure he does this right the first time. Because some of you will find yourselves in a situation where as you're trying to force a relationship to work with a guy and you really want this situation to work well out for you and him because you really like this guy and he's everything you're looking for, as he disappoints you, as he doesn't show up for you, as he crosses your boundaries, you will continue to give him a chance and another chance and another chance and another chance, and your chances will be you forgiving him for doing the same thing over and over and over again. It's not even like you're giving him a different chance for a different mistake. You're giving him the same chance for the same mistake made in the exact same way. And at a certain point, even if he says, but I'm fixing it, but I'm trying, but I'm trying, but I'm trying, he's wasting this opportunity because he's not bringing a level of urgency to dating you where he actually thinks to himself, hey, if she doesn't like what's going on, let me actually make an adjustment, and a real one, to fix the issue. Not kind of a fake adjustment, I'll think about it when I want to fix something or when I want to actually make a change when maybe you want to walk away, right? You want men to have urgency in dating you so that they're doing it right the first time, not feeling the need to make 30,000 mistakes before they ever want to make an adjustment because now you're at your wit's end. Okay? All right, let's hop into our point number 5. Does that make sense? Damn. Who drew that like that? Looks like you have a diaper and clown shoes. Chat. You gotta help me do a better drawing than that. That was crazy. All right. Point number 5 here. Now, I'm gonna give you another analogy, and this analogy is meant to help you crystallize this. There's a great song. There's a great R&B song actually called "Missing Out" by Sid. So you should listen to that if you like R&B. It's a great song. Anyways, I'm gonna paint a little bit of a picture for you. Okay. We're not doing this today. We're not doing this today. All right, let me draw a better one. Okay. This is a house. Okay. So we're gonna draw out here what I'll describe as a house party. We can even write it here. Okay. So we have a house party here, and I'll explain to you why I'm drawing a house party because it's a very important kind of concept to understand. We're going to draw a man here, and actually, instead of drawing him happy, we're going to draw him very, very sad. Oh, so sad. Sad man. Sad stick man who doesn't do legs. Okay. Sad man. Okay, he's such a sad man. You want to know why he's such a sad man? Tiffany just said it in the chat, right? He's got FOMO. What is FOMO? FOMO stands for fear of missing out. He's got a fear of missing out because he is watching this party happen and he can't get in, right? He can't get into this party. And now he's watching everyone dance up a storm inside this party here. Woohoo! We having fun. We having a great time. He's seeing all the big booty BBL bandits from the city at this house party as well. Them girls that look sweet as apple pie with big bottoms, okay? Big bottoms, huge bottoms. Walking into that party, and he's staring out from outside the club because he can't even get in. So he hating from outside the club like Chris Brown said, all right? So the reason I say this, though, is because we want to present you the same way as a lit, awesome house party with all the big booty B words in the party, okay? The reason I say this is because this is the type of fear you want to instill in men that will have them showing up for you in a way that actually works for you and makes your life better. What do I mean by that? When you start dating a guy, remember how I told you you don't compromise any of the time that you were going to be investing in yourself and investing in your friends and investing in your life outside of dating him? It's very important that you also let him see this bright and shiny life that you have had since before you met him, and you're having while you're with him, and that you will have after you're with him, okay? And so how do you really do that? You do that in multiple ways. You do that by telling him about it, okay? In your stories, when you're talking about the things that you've been doing or were up to. You also do that by showing him that, whether it be, let's say, for the sake of example, you have to end a date early because you have somewhere to be, or you have to kind of a tight schedule where you guys can only hang out for an hour or two because you have to go somewhere before or after so he can actually see that you have things going. And then also by whatever it is that you post on your social media, to have him seeing that all the stuff you said you were going to get up to and going to need to make time for, you're actually doing those things. The reason I say this is because it creates a fear of missing out. See, when guys feel like they found you at a time where you have a lot going on, and I don't mean have a lot going on in the sense that you have a lot of bad stuff going on in your life. I mean have a lot going on as in you just have a life. And they realize your life is good. You have good energy, you have a good vibe. People start to say, wow, you have a little bit of magic to you. And I want some of that magic to rub off on me. Can you spend some of your time with me? I want to hang out with you. I want to talk to you. But you got to make sure that you balance that because you want to make sure that there's always a little bit of a fear of missing out on this party. That you have this amazing amazing party going on in your life 24/7. That you don't always have time to spend with him. You don't always have time to just lay up with him and relax and just be around. You might be able to be around for a little bit, but not all the time. It's great because then because for men, when they're watching from outside the club, outside the house party, and they're watching your life go on without them, it's a reminder, like we talked about in our first point, that you don't need them. And we want to make sure that you constantly remind men, one, that you don't need them, but also that you have things going on that maybe if they don't take this opportunity, if they don't approach this date or these talking stages with urgency, then he is going to miss out on this amazing house party that you have going on in your life. It might sound weird because you're thinking, well, Thompson, are guys going to be like jealous of me? Because that sounds like a little bit of jealousy. The reality of it is the more you invest in yourself as a human being, the more people will actually want to zap your time because they want some of that magic. I'll give you a perfect example of that. Okay. If you're someone, let's say you're a girl and you're super disciplined. You go to the gym, you eat right, you take care of your body, you take care of your skin, you take care of your health, and all that good stuff. You got a nice, super tight body. You look like a supermodel whenever you walk around. All of the men that see you, they recognize how much discipline you have because of the way you look. And the number one thing they want to do is take up all of your time because of how well and how disciplined you've been in your entire life that you look this way. And because you've invested so much in yourself, people want to now zap your time so some of that magic can rub off on them. It's not that the men want to be you, but they definitely want to be around you, right? And it's the same thing for men. It's the same thing for women. It's the same thing in all of our relationships. Whenever you take time to invest in yourself, you create this house party that people want to be a part of, right? If you've ever noticed, the times where you're doing the best, the times where you have the most going on, that's when everyone wants to be your friend. That's when everyone's calling you up on the phone and saying, hey, can we hang out? Can we spend some time together? You never make time for me. Why you never want to hang out with me? Oh, you too famous for me? Da, 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 da. But I promise you, when you're laying in bed doing nothing with your life, when you feel like your life is super tragic and you're just, rotting away in bed, that's when nobody calls you. That's when no one really cares to check up on you because you have nothing going on. And so when you have nothing going on, there's no magic there. So why would people want to spend time with you? Why would people want to hang out with you? And so it sounds very strange, but you have to have an ongoing house party to create FOMO for men, even the men that you're dating. Okay? Does that make sense? Now, do you guys have any questions about the 5 that we just discussed here today? Okay. I hope they all made sense to you all here in the chat. Let me look in our donations because I know we always be having lots and lots and lots of donations here. Okay, and lots of questions. Cece donates $5 in the YouTube chat. She says, if we post 2 plates on our story, what do I say when he asks who I'm out with, especially if me and him aren't official yet? So your question actually has 2 different answers. So what I mean by that is if you post 2 different plates and you're out with a friend, you're not doing anything wrong. But what you can do is, there's nothing wrong with providing the truth in a way that still gives a little bit of anxiety. So if you're out with a friend and you post 2 plates, don't be in a rush. Class, we smooth operators around here. don't be in no rush to ease a man's anxiety, especially when he has anxiety about who you're spending your time with and you know you're not even with no guy. Don't be in no rush to tell him what you doing, who you with, what you up to in the first 30 seconds that he messaged you. Just roll back your shoulders, relax a little bit, let him sweat, let him worry a little, just a little bit about you. It doesn't make you a toxic person. I just want you to understand how that will affect men and how it's good for him to feel those feelings towards you. Don't be so quick to try and ease his anxiety because of how much you like him that you're rushing to answer his question before he can even worry about what it is that you're doing, okay? Now, if you're posting 2 plates and you're actually on a date, then you're not doing this right, okay? You probably don't want to be doing that because then that's going to put you in a position where you either have to lie or you're going to be put in a position where you're going to say, well, yeah, I was out on a date with someone else, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but I would rather you leave things up to interpretation and then knowing that he's going to question certain things, but also knowing what your answer is going to be and that you didn't do anything wrong and just allowing him to sweat. Okay? My advice is if you actually go out on a date, don't post the 2 plates knowing that there's a man on the date there. I'm not saying that you going out on a date is bad, but you're going to make him feel like the side dude. And remember, when we're dating men, we want to encourage them to continue to progress the relationship forward because they feel like they're getting somewhere. So when you post the plate with the other dude and that's the guy that you want, you're going to have the opposite effect because you're going to make him feel like he's getting played and he's not actually progressing in the way that he thought he was. So we don't want to do that. But if you're actually out with a friend, then we want to let him sweat. And you answer to him, no, I was after an hour or 2 hours or the next day. No, I was just out with my girlfriend. Literally, look at this picture that we took at the same table at the same restaurant. Then he'll have spent a couple of hours or even a night sweating, but he has confirmation that it wasn't a guy. So what can he really say? Nothing. But it's good because you let him sweat, okay? It's good to let guys sweat just a little bit. Nothing wrong with that. I know it. I know it's tough when you like a guy, but letting them sweat is good because trust me, it humbles them a little bit and it reminds them how much they want you and want to be with you. Okay? It's good. It's good. Smooth operator, like Kayla said. You guys have any more questions for me? Blue says, Tomisin, what does it mean when a man says he does not have a type in regards to the 5th point of the show? So in this point, in terms of missing out, when he says he doesn't have a type, like in terms of looks and personality and all that other stuff, if a guy says he doesn't have a type, I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. I think when I say, at least, I don't have a type, what I'm referring to is I like a vibe. I like the way that I feel around someone, the amount of conversation I would have with someone, and how our dynamic is. That's more what will make me attracted to someone than just a simple look. Everyone's a little bit different, but that's what I mean as a man when I say I don't have a type. And I think for most men, it's usually the same thing. They're more focused on the way that they'll feel in the dynamic than they are specifically a look. Just because I understand that people can look any which way and not necessarily be a great vibe, as the kids would say. Does that make sense? Dax says, oops, by the way, other hand was my friend's boyfriend. Oh, but we were just trying to make him jealous. That's funny, right? Sometimes there's a little bit of mix up. The Shadow says, when he tells you he likes brunettes, but you're blonde and he still wants you, what does that mean? It means nothing. As the queen, you don't concern yourself with what's going on with the peasants, okay? So this is the thing that you guys have to understand. I know that you have insecurities, and I'm not saying don't have insecurities. But the worst thing you can do, especially to a man you just started dating, is confess and dump on him all of your insecurities. Don't let certain things bother you. At least if they do bother you, don't show him that, okay? Let yourself seem and be presented as a calm, collected person who is not concerned with what's going on with other women. The worst thing you can do when you start dating, we might have to have a whole show on that. The worst thing you can do when you start dating a man is make yourself look overly concerned with what he's doing or not doing with other women. So when you feel like he has a type, which is brunettes, or maybe you feel like his type is blondes and you're insecure because you're not that, I don't want you to show him that. And I don't even want you to discuss that with him because you want all of his focus to be on you. Understand, aside from talking about the ex and the past relationships, you don't want to give a lot of energy and attention to women who are actively in his life that he could be seeing or dating at this current moment. Okay? Think of it like this. You can either be one of two women. When you're spending your time with a guy, and you can tell me which one you've been. When you're spending your time with a guy, you can either be the woman who is complaining and nagging about this one girl that he's talking to or messaging all the time or going out on dates with, and you can be the one spending all your time, your personal time with him, talking about another girl, or you can be the girl who's not there that is getting discussed by him and this girl that he's with, right? So you can either be the girl who's getting talked about or you can be the girl who's doing all of the talking. The reason I say that is understand it's like being on a date with that person who's getting discussed. So if you're giving a lot of, let me just give you an example. Let's say a guy is in the process of dating multiple girls, and every time you're with him and you're actually on a date with him, you spend the entire date complaining about the fact that he's dating this other girl. You don't realize it, but you're actually giving that other girl 2 times the dates, because that whole time he's spending time with you, he just ends up talking about another girl. So his mind is fixated on that other girl, even though he's presently physically with you. And so you actually give her twice the opportunity to seem amazing and awesome and seem like the best thing since sliced bread, because every time he even is away from her, he still ends up thinking and speaking about her. So as the queen, you don't concern yourself with peasants. Even if it makes you feel a little bit insecure, let other women that he sees and talks to and spends time with be the ones complaining about you and complaining about the fact that he spends all his time with you and never answers them when he's with you. Let you be that girl, not the other girl, okay? Just a little bit word of advice for those dating stages, because that can become a really tricky situation, okay? Someone says, is gift giving in the early stages a must? No, not on your part as a woman. No reason for you to be gift giving. You already possess a gift that he wants, and it's in between your legs. So no need to be giving gifts when he hasn't done anything for you, okay? Carol says, I played the trick of ignoring his messages and it hurts so much, but it worked because he messaged back hours ago, anxious with what is happening. Make the guy sweat. Very, very important. Make men sweat. And it's going to be painful for some of you who, especially those of you who have anxious attachment styles. Making men sweat will not be your specialty. I'm telling you this as an avoidant, so that's very easy for me. And maybe some of you are avoidant, so that's very easy for you when I tell you this. But making men sweat will always do you good in the long run, because you'll get a better version of them when they're sweating and they're feeling a little bit nervous about you and about this relationship, okay? Doesn't have to be in a toxic, horrible way, but just enough for them to realize how much they like you. It's okay. It's perfectly fine, right? Someone says, oh, no, I meant him giving me gifts. Oh, perfectly fine. You can accept gifts. Why not? Why would you not accept gifts? All right. By the way, for those of you who have a question for me, and maybe it's not related to this show and what we're discussing directly, or it's just really long and detailed, you can ask your question to me through our 24/7 hotline. Our 24/7 hotline is available through the link in my bio on TikTok or my description on YouTube. Click where it says private relationship advice, and you can ask your question to me there. No one else will see it. Don't worry. It's a private link. When you submit your question, you can type out as many paragraphs as you want. Submit your question to me, and then I receive it. I respond with a voice message, usually 8 to 10 minutes long, and then I send it back to your email, and you can get an answer, advice, or perspective on a situation that you're dealing with a guy from me personally. It'll actually be me because you know it's my voice, okay? So let me see if we have a couple more. NW says, LOL, said the gift is between your legs. It is, it is. When you really think about it, you do have a gift and it is between your legs, and he definitely wants that. LP Baby says, it was hard to not respond to his text, but it works. He triple texted me. See, that's the thing too. It's it can almost be a little bit disorienting to like a guy, implement these practices, and then actually watch his desire for you and like for you surpass yours. Because you can get so used to being the person who likes guys so much more than they like you, that when you actually start changing your approach and the guys like you so much more, you almost feel a little bit weird, because you're like, oh, whoa, like you actually really want me. This actually is really working. And I've even gotten messages about this in the Discord and privately, that sometimes it can feel like I don't know what to do here because I'm so not used to being the person that is super desired. I'm so not used to it being this imbalanced that I don't even know. I feel guilty for him liking me so much. I feel like a bad person because he wants to do so much for me because these strategies are working so well, which is kind of ironic, but also sad because you should feel like you deserve that. And that honestly for you as a woman is a better situation for you to be in, where a guy has a lot of desire for you and desire to be with you, because then you won't have to spend so much time begging for things. That's why a lot of you end up in situations where you're begging and pleading for him to just do the bare minimum, because he doesn't even have that level of desire or interest in you to really invest in you. You understand what I mean? Okay, chat. Let's hop into our next segment of the day. Our next segment is going to be our React segment. Our React segment is where you guys send into me TikTok videos from across the universe, and we have conversation about them, usually about love, life, and relationships, unless you guys send me some BS, all right? So we're going to start our React segment. I'm going to pull up my chair and my headphones, spam up headphone emojis, spam up camcorder emojis, because we're filming this in 4K, and we're going to get to it while I clean up and get ready. We're going to watch an intermission video. Today's intermission video comes from Matt Boggs. Matt Boggs is going to discuss with you all why men are very attracted to women who don't try hard. And then I'm going to join you guys back in just a moment, okay? Mr. Matt Boggs, take it away for all of these beautiful people.
And what is not trying hard? What does that look like? So check this out. Today, I'm going to share with you 3 behaviors that men consider try hard energy that repels the thing that you want. And instead of that, what not trying hard looks like. In other words, what does it look like to be in flow, where there's an ease and a grace and it accelerates you attracting the relationship you want? Have you ever heard the phrase, you'll find it when you're not looking? This is a perfect example of someone saying, don't try so hard. And you just want to slap that person in the face, right? Because you want a relationship. How are you not supposed to look for something that you deeply desire? You also learn in all personal development books, you have to have a burning desire for the thing you want. So how are you have to have a burning desire and yet not look? The thing doesn't make sense, right? Those two things don't go together. And along the way in my coaching, I actually discovered what it is, the nuance. Why is it? Because it does feel a sense of truth, doesn't it? You'll find it when you're not looking, you're not trying so hard. Like there's a little bit of truth to that. Well, here's the nuance. It's not that you're going to find it when you're not looking. It's you're going to find it when you're not lacking. In other words, when you feel like there's something missing in your life because you don't have a partner, where you feel lonely in your life when you don't have a partner, when you feel like there's this like gap and you're depressed or discouraged and you're coming from this lack energy, then that creates this repulsion. It creates this desperate energy for other people, and they can feel that. That's a lacking energy, and lack attracts lack. On the other hand, when you come from a having energy, people who aren't looking for love, why aren't they looking for love? Well, because their life is good. Their life is full. Their life is happy. Their life is fulfilling. And so they're just living their best life. And they're feeling that overabundance of joy and happiness. Joy and happiness attract more joy and happiness. So there's a certain set of behaviors that a woman who is full in her life and feeling great, you can still, here's the nuance, you can still be full and happy and abundant and have a desire for love. You can have a desire for love without being lacking. Those two things can coexist. Doesn't mean it's easy to do that, but that is a beautiful state of being that is the most attractive in relationships. So consider this. The woman who is in flow, she's not trying hard. How is she showing up? What is her behavior? Well, she's behaving as a woman who is highly desired. Well, how? Why? What is that? How does that show up? Here's how. We used to go to this breakfast place in Huntington Beach called the Sugar Shack. Amazing. It had a line always around the block, the Sugar Shack. Right next to it was another breakfast place called Longboards. No line out the door. We always waited in line at the Sugar Shack to get their breakfast. Finally, one day, the line was super long. It was going to take 40 minutes. And I turned to my wife and I said, why don't we just go to Longboards? We've never had breakfast there. So we went to Longboards, sit down. We had breakfast there. It was just as good as the Sugar Shack. And I was like, why are we waiting in line at the Sugar Shack when this is just as good? And she goes, because Everybody else goes to the Sugar Shack. And it blew my mind. I was like, wow, my perception of the Sugar Shack, because there were a lot of people in line, their desire ramped up my own desire for the Sugar Shack when the two things were actually the same. So how does this apply to love? Well, what if you had a long line of guys wanting to date you? How would you be acting? Because when you're going on dates, the guy who's going out with you, he can't see the long line of guys. But the woman who does have the long line of guys, she shows up in a certain way. Here's what she is. She's selective. She's grounded. She's having fun. She's peaceful. There's no pressure because she has choice. And she knows she has choice. And so there's this level of energy that comes with that. Well, here's what's great. You don't have to have the long line of guys to embody that way of being. And when you embody that way of being as a woman who has choice.
Okay, chat. Thank you, Mr. Matt Boggs, for our intermission time. We're going to hop right into our first video of the day here, which comes from this creator named Rent with Ashley.
And benefit of the doubt. If they didn't call you at a certain time, they haven't texted you in 2 days, they have not taken you out on dates, but they're talking to you all day, it's an absolute no. Men will show you how they feel about you. Stop looking at their words, look at their actions. If they're not prioritizing you in their life, it's a done deal. Maybe he just had a lot of work to do. Maybe he was busy. No, stop making excuses for these guys. They'll prioritize their friends every single time. If it's a woman they're actually obsessed with and actually really like, they will see this woman. They will. They'll call, they'll text, they'll bug her. They will. So if he's not bugging you, if he's not actively calling you and scheduling plans to see you and doing cute, like nice, thoughtful things for you, it's a done deal. It's a no. If you are getting any confusing actions from him, things are not feeling super good in this dynamic, he's just not into it. We don't want someone to kind of like us. We want someone to really like us, and we don't have any doubts. These men are very intentional with what they're doing. And I believe that every person's like this, but men especially, they're very intentional. So if he did not do something, that was on purpose. The minute you know that, the minute you see this confusing thing that they're doing, pack it up, go talk to somebody else, give your attention to someone else, put the attention back on you, and stop wasting your time. Men are very clear on the girl that they like. One day he's there, one day he's not. You're part of the roster. He's entertaining you. Eventually you're gonna be the girl that he's going to ghost. Like, that's just how it is. You have to watch out for these early signs so that you know to walk away and not waste any of your precious time. Stop giving men...
The thing that always comes to mind, and I don't think I've had a whole show on how to like go about this step by step, but definitely gauging a man's interest is so important in all of the stages of dating, and especially at the beginning, because gauging a man's interest is also gauging where is he at in terms of his desire to even progress this relationship forward. And remember how I said earlier in this show, the only way you're going to be able to have a successful, healthy relationship, truthfully and honestly, in the dynamic that you're looking for, is for a man to desire you so much that he is willing to progress the relationship forward. Because then when it's working that way, you won't have to ask for things, you won't have to beg for things, and simply by you being dissatisfied or unhappy, he will want to make an adjustment for you and for the betterment of the relationship because he has a desire to make you happy. There's a reason they say happy wife, happy life. Because if my wife is unhappy and my MO as a man who loves her is to make her happy, then I'm always thinking about how to make an adjustment so that she returns back to being happy. Okay. M92 donates $5 in the YouTube chat. She says, so if we are talking, I should be okay with him sleeping with other people. I feel like walking away, even if we aren't dating. I have not slept with him. Oh, M92, let me be very clear. That's a preference, right? So depending on how you like to go about your dating and talking stages, if you find that starting off dating with the man and finding out that he's sleeping with other people is a no-no for you, then that's your prerogative, and you can choose to walk away if you ever find that out. I'm not telling you how you can and can't date. I just know that some of you like to date in a way where you like to have 3, 4, 5 men at the same time. Right? And some of you, that's your preference in terms of dating. I'm going to date until I have the best man win. So for some of you, you're like, until he asks me to be his boyfriend, I'm basically single. So I'm not telling how you should or shouldn't date men. But I will say, if you choose to say, hey, I don't like the fact that you're sleeping with other people and I'm not down with that, then you're perfectly fine with walking away if you're not down with that. And that's perfectly okay, right? That's your own preference.
Hey, I just came on here to talk shit real quick, but I don't like bitches who talk about always taking somebody nigga, or I could take her nigga, or you know, I took her nigga, or I can have any nigga I want. Baby, a nigga is the easiest thing to get by far. Like, the easiest thing I ever got in life was a nigga. Like, that, no bullshit. Let's brag about something that actually makes sense and is actually worth bragging about. Thank ya. Bye. Hey, I just came on here to talk shit real quick, but
I always say this thing, like, you get them how you lose them, so, or you lose them how you get them. Right. If you guys have joined me for any period of time in the Players Club, you know me not fan of you dating married men. Me not fan of you dating man with boyfriend. I know some of you guys come to me with all your different questions in different situations, but I guarantee you, anytime you guys ask me about what should I do, Thompson, I'm dating a married man, I'm dating a guy who has a girlfriend, I'm dating a man who's just about to get a divorce, I'm going to say, stop right there. Stop right there. Because you're misinformed. Your expectation is for a man who is never going to treat you like a priority to treat you like a priority. Because majority of the time when I be getting those questions, it always starts off with, so he's married, but he won't take me out on a date. So he has a girlfriend, but he's going to break up with her soon and he's not paying attention to me or texting me. And my answer will always be, well, you're not his priority and you're not meant to be because you're not his girl. Someone else actually has that place in his life. That's why I never, ever am going to try and help you get a positive outcome of dating a married man. I'm always going to say, let him get that divorce first, because all these married men know how to tell you a story about how their divorce is coming tomorrow, the next day, in 3 hours. They just need a ballpoint pen to sign the It never comes.
Yeah. Let me get this straight. So you mean to tell me that you spend 8 hours on a daily basis on these applications, yet you cannot tell me the last time that you spent 1 hour in deepened conversation with our Father, yet you expect him to move exceedingly and abundantly in your life? I'm going to try not to yell. You are so out of line and out of order. It don't even make no sense. Logically, does that make any sort of sense logically? You spend all your time on these apps, keying like something is so funny. And then you sit here.
He calling y'all out. I'm not on an app. I'm in front of a camera. He calling you out.
And then you wonder why God is not moving in your life. Why you feel like he's not moving. You sit here and you wonder why you don't have the things that you claim that you want. For one thing, you ain't doing no activity. You ain't doing nothing. So it's only right that you don't get anything. We not 3 years old, 4 years old anymore. You don't get trophies just for showing up. You're an adult now. You don't.
Here's the other thing that I always, regardless of whether you're religious or not, it's not meant to be a religious thing or do this, do that. The whole point of something that I think is really important for anyone to take notice of is it's not enough to just hope for things to happen. And I love being about that and talking about that because it's one of the biggest misconceptions of life. That hope that I want something to happen or I have a desire for something to happen will make it manifest itself in my life, right? Putting something on your vision board is not enough to make it happen. That's not how life works. You have to actually take the steps to break down the things that you want into the smallest possible action so that you can figure out how to actually work towards those things. And whether you're religious or not, even prayer is not just about praying to hope that God will change your situation. It's also about understanding how to take action on your situation and then letting the rest take care of itself. But even prayer in itself is not about hoping that things will just magically change out of nowhere without doing work. Manifestation is not just about hoping that things will change out of nowhere without doing any work. So never, ever forget that. You're always going to have to do work if you want real results. And that includes your dating life. That includes getting the man that you want, because it's going to take work to figure out how to strategize, to filter out all the trash men and not waste any more of your time. Okay? Your precious time and energy.
Ladies, if you have to text him first, if you have to kind of play this game where you have to kind of let him know your presence, please let him go, because there's another woman who he's thinking about. And you know what? Also, there's a lot of men who will pursue you and date you. They will get you to a certain place, but the reality is they miss their ex.
Is this an actress? Who is this? She looks familiar.
And you don't know what's going on. You don't know why it's getting funny with them, and they miss somebody. And they probably don't even want to admit that to themselves, because a lot of men are taught to suppress. So
do y'all taste something funny in your mouth? Because
so sis, protect yourself.
Okay, he's gassing up a lot. He wants to. Never mind. Whatever.
Protect yourself and leave him alone. Anytime that you feel like you are doing the pursuing, and I'm not talking about if you're dating a man who's busy and has a job, but he's being intentional with you, that's not the same. Because sometimes, I've dated men where we're not going to talk for like majority of the day, but we will talk when they're off work or before they're on. Yeah. And that's okay. You got to know who you're dealing with. But if it's not that, and they are just not communicating with you the way that you want to be and even if they're just not communicating the way you want to be communicated with, let it go. If you don't want to date a man who works during the day and doesn't communicate with you most of the day because it will make you feel insecure, honor that. It's okay to feel that way. Let him go. There's a man who it matches. Yeah. The life will match, and you won't feel like you have to tug.
Oh, I like that though. I do like what she's saying. I like what she's saying because what she's referring to is a very important part of dating. And it makes my skin crawl. It makes me very mad, because some of you come to the show, and your mindset is, I really just want a guy to like me. And all the strategies that we use here, I want to use these strategies to just find someone who will really like me, because that's all I need, is for a guy to really like me. But the truth of the matter is, that's not all you need. We all have preferences. We all have different attachment styles. We all have slightly different needs and desires and wants and things that are important to us. So when you're going through your list of things that are important to you in a relationship, it's very important that you don't just pick a partner because that guy likes you the most. You also pick a partner that is aligned with you in the places in your life that are the most important. And for some of you, this might be one of them. You might need a guy who's able to text you more often than not and able to be more present even when he's away from you. You might be someone that you need someone who's like a little bit more attentive to the fact that, he wants to talk to you when you're not there. He's calling you. He's on your butt, right? He's on your backside, as the kids would say. And that might be your vibe. That might be something so important to you that you realize you can't be in a relationship that's not like that. But if that's the case, like she mentioned, your job is not to try and change the guy that you found and that you started dating. It's to realize that that is something super important to you, and that you need to date someone who is more like that. That way there's not a misunderstanding or a constant contention there between you two of what is expected or what is okay and what one person wants and what the other person wants, right? And you have to be understanding and self-aware of yourself and your own needs to be honest enough to say, look, I just shouldn't be dating someone who feels like they should only text me once a day, because it's going to make me feel so anxious that I'm not even going to be able to work out a relationship with that person. And I'm constantly going to be fighting and arguing with them for them to text me more and talk to me more instead of feeling comfortable and good in the relationship. That's an important realization to have. Okay.
How do you navigate your way through heartbreak?
The people who break our hearts really badly are not horrible people. If they were just the horrible people, we'd...
Why doesn't he just shave off the little part here? I don't understand why he's left that little part there.
We'd be fine. The thing you really have to worry about is heartbreak by nice people. The people who are really kind to us for a long time.
Sorry, Chad, I notice everything. So that bothers me. Never mind. Let's forget it.
They get under our skin. They understand our pains. They're truly sweet. The ones who come and go and, blow hot and cold for a few minutes, we'll get over them. You know that old expression, grief is the price we pay for love. Well, there'll be a lot of grief if there was a lot of love. So it's kindness that undoes us. We lay ourselves bare to somebody, and then when they go, we are no one anymore, because we have to recreate ourselves. We have to go back through every experience and unpick it and it is a sort of rebirth. Most of us will probably experience heartbreak, proper heartbreak, only a few times in our lives. When we do, we need to, pull up the white flag and go, I'm not going to be well here for a while. In the Jewish tradition, when somebody dies, you're allowed to mourn for a year. And during that year, it's acknowledged that you will not be entirely yourself. You're going to be heavily unbalanced. And the key thing is, everybody knows it. We need a sort of similar version of this because it is also a death when we lose someone who really matters to us.
Have you ever experienced heartbreak?
I have. And as I say, one wouldn't wish it upon one's worst enemy.
Tell me, chat, have you ever experienced heartbreak? I actually have, believe it or not. Okay. Now, am I okay now? I'm fine. But the point being, at the time when I was experiencing it, I always thought, oh, this is the worst feeling ever. I'm never going to feel worse than this, and I'm never going to recover from this, and I don't know how my life is going to move on. And every time, my life moved on. Okay. And eventually you realize that life will go on with or without the person, whoever it is, truthfully and honestly. And it's not meant to be a demoralizing thing like, oh my gosh, you eventually realize that you don't need anyone. It's just the realization that like you will love people. Those times will be great. You will create memories with people. And some people might stay in your life forever, and some people might not stay in your life forever. But that's actually perfectly fine. Like, it's actually genuinely okay. You will not pass out. You'll not black out. You're not going to be unalived, okay? You'll be perfectly fine. It obviously is going to be painful. It'll take some getting used to. You'll have to work through some tough days. But one day will come, and then the next day, and then the next day. And then one day you'll realize, I didn't think of that person the whole of yesterday, or I haven't thought of that person for the past 2 days. And then eventually you'll just realize that you're perfectly fine. Okay? Which is a great feeling, because then you'll realize once you go through it, it's like a realization that you can actually get through things. And then it honestly just makes life easier to deal with after that, because you realize you can just work through them, right? It's not meant to be a sad thing. It's meant to be you're a grown adult thing. You're okay. Okay? All right, let's hop into our next segment of the show. It's a special time. It's an amazing time. And it's a time where you're going to laugh and you're going to cry. If you know what time it is because you're an OG Players Club member, please spam it up in the chat. For those of you who don't know, you're in for a very special treat. Don't look at your clock. Don't look at your watch. Don't look at your phone. Don't look nowhere else in your entire home. If you don't know the time, I'm going to tell you the time. I'm going to yell this time. Okay. All right, chat. Let's hop into our Discord section of the show. For those of you who have no idea what's going on, I'm going to explain this to you right now. So Discord time is essentially where all the amazing members of our Players Club Discord community get an opportunity to ask me a question about their relationship or their situationship, and I answer it live on the show. Now, I'm going to tell you the 3 different ways in which you can submit a question so you're aware of them. The first way is through our free relationship advice forum section here. This you can access by going to the link in my bio on TikTok or my description on YouTube, and click where it says Players Club Discord, and then you'll be able to add your question here in this. Make sure you format it the same way that everyone else has. Now, you see here all these highlighted questions that are in the forum. These are questions that I haven't yet gotten to because it's a first come, first serve forum. So it's obviously their questions are quite old here, which means that if you ask your question today, it's going to take me a few weeks before I can get to your question if you ask yours today, because we have to do it first come, first serve. Now, if you're too impatient to wait that long to get your question answered, you also have another option to submit your question, and this is our premium relationship advice forum. The way that this works is you get to skip the line of people and get your question answered first, even if you submit it today or tomorrow, because this is our way of allowing people to go ahead if they don't want to be patient and be waiting for their question to get answered, waiting for weeks, okay? So the way that you get access to this section here is by going to the link in my bio on TikTok or my description on YouTube. Click where it says Premium Discord Relationship Advice. And then when you click that link, it's going to prompt you to donate to the show, and then also put in the title of your Discord username and the title of your question, what it's going to be. And then I get a notification on my phone that you donated and that is you and your question. And then I can confirm that your question that's dropped in here in our premium section is actually supposed to be in here to keep it fair for everyone. Now, the third way to submit your question is for those of you who don't want your information to be read out on the show and want it to be more private, but you still obviously want my advice. This is our private relationship kind of link and hotline here, where you can go to get a private relationship answer from me about your situation or your relationship. Now, the way you access this is by going again to the link in my bio on TikTok or in my description on YouTube. See where it says private relationship advice. You can click that, then you type out your question, submit it to me, and then I respond to you with a voice message, usually 8 to 10 minutes long, and I send it back to your email. No one else reads it. No one else sees it except for me. Okay. All right. Let's hop into I don't think we had any premiums today. So let's hop into our free section here. We're going to scroll all the way down to get to our first question of the day, which is definitely from LP Baby. We did that one yesterday. Okay. Let me unmark this because we did that one as well. All right. The friend zone guy. Okay. LP Baby says, the friend zone guy. Hi, Tommy. Why shouldn't we give the friend zone guy a chance? Is a man going to get even and humble you in the worst way if he wanted you, but you ended up friend zoning him and then finally decided to date him? The only time an ugly but super nice coworker wanted to hang out with me, but I ghosted him. Then months later, I told him, let's go to our work cafeteria together for lunch. It wasn't a date at all. I just wanted a companion to go to lunch with. And also I was operating from a not healthy a place. And I was mad at my ex at the time for hanging out with his lady friend. So you don't really have good intentions here anyways. But then my coworker ghosted me and didn't want to go to lunch. WTF, LOL. A man's ego and pride are fragile, aren't they? What's your perspective? What's the general male perspective on the friend zone guy? Honestly, he's entitled to do that. If he felt like asking you out on a date or he wanted to hang out with you or get to know you and you denied him, and then you came back around and were like, never mind, let's go out, let's do something. I get it. You weren't necessarily saying let's go on a date, but you're just like, whatever, we can hang out. He's perfectly entitled to say, no, I asked you out. You didn't want to go out with me or spend time with me. So I don't want to spend time with you now, right? That's perfectly fine. The same way I would say if that was you with a guy that friend zoned you, and after he comes back around, you're like, nope, I don't want to be with you now. That's perfectly fine, right? Just the same way that you might not want to feel like a second option is the same way he might not want to feel like a second option. I'm not saying you did that to him. I'm just saying if he asked you out the first time, then you deny him, he's perfectly entitled to say, yeah, I'm good now. Which is perfectly fine. I don't think that that's a disrespectful way to go about it. I know in a perfect world, everyone would be communicative and he'd explain to you why he doesn't want to go out to lunch and da-da-da-da, but he just ghosted you. As long as he didn't disrespect you or do anything weird that makes it uncomfortable at work, I don't see a problem with that. I also wouldn't, well, that was him that asked you out first to hang out first. So it kind of makes it awkward in that sense because you guys are working together. But as long as he didn't get disrespectful, I don't see a problem with that. Guys have egos. Yeah, they probably don't want to feel like the second choice, you know, in any sense, right? When they ask you out the first time. So, but I don't think it's a bad thing. Let's go on to our next question here. Let's see. Oh, let me make sure that I unmark that. Okay. So we're going to give other people a chance to ask their question. I gotta like focus here, make sure we're getting to the get tos. Okay, girly girl. All right. Girly girl says getting tough to be in a relationship. Oh boy. Part 1. Okay, Tomisin, it's me again. I've been with my boyfriend who is 29 for more than 4 months. I need advice today. I have my boyfriend's location, but I think he forgot about that. He gave me his location at the very beginning of our relationship and never turned. Oh, did we do this one? This is the one where, yes, we did this one because you sent in a premium question. I remember this. Your boyfriend was in some weird area. That was a very strange one. Okay, so let's do this one. Yes, we didn't do Noppers. Where'd you get that name from? How to behave. And a general question about a situationship relationship. Did we do this one too? I have 2 short questions, a specific one and a general one. I'm meeting with a new man who's 39. He has a 14-year-old son abroad. He went out to be with him. He and his mother have been separated for 9 years, but he wants to live here where we grew up. So he's moving back to my city right now. And we've been talking for about 2 weeks, video, phone, text, and I'm looking forward to meeting him. He's looking for a serious relationship. We talked about a lot of things. I like him. He's a really thoughtful, nice guy who describes himself like this. And I quote, I am devoted, supportive. I love to love and be loved. Maybe I give too much of myself quickly. Interesting. We'll get back to that. When I'm already in a relationship, but I don't want to change that. Or I feel I should, or I don't feel I should. Anyone who doesn't need this, let me know. This is what he said to you. And I want so much to be loved, to be held, to be touched. I'm too sensual. He definitely wants a lasting relationship based on mutual respect. Okay? Let's go on. No, absolutely not a shy guy. He is masculine, but he's been cheated on. Oh, okay. Taken advantage of and lied to. One woman didn't tell him she was married. Okay. We're just going to believe it as the truth here for now. We have no reason to believe it's not the truth. But despite these things, he's a very honest and open. He still has to rent an apartment here. He's moving his stuff to his mom's place until then. But he says he'll get, wait. How old is this guy? Okay, no judgment. But he says he'll get that done soon, and he still has to choose a job. What do you mean choose a job? He's got more options. Otherwise, he's a bright guy. I am not worried he wouldn't find a job. He has more than enough money. Okay. He has mentioned the meeting many times, and we have hinted at it, but he hasn't fixed it yet. I want to do it right. He seems to be the golden retriever, pursuer guy I want. How should I behave when we meet? We flirted in writing and via voice messages, and he's getting to know me. But I'll probably be embarrassed how'd you be embarrassed? In person because I really like him. Should I hide this or show it no, don't. I'll explain. Or should I show confidence? Friendly? I hope he's not going to cut me off because he still has arrangements in life. Update in the comment. Okay, so this is the update here. Don't be harsh, please. I hope that sexual flirting in a subtle way is okay. Isn't it? It's like breadcrumbs. Isn't it? If it's a bit spicier, does the man think he'll be able to get me soon? For example, some kind of pineapple poems. Wait. What do you mean by that? Mine are only suggestive and lyrical. So you're both doing it back and forth. I've only sent one. Okay, you guys are creative. Nothing wrong with that. He has more. His are more concrete. So are you guys actually rhyming like poems? But we didn't go into role playing at all. It's a poem. That was all. Nothing more. Was it too much in your opinion? Maybe I'd have to read the poem. Can you send it to me? And we have some very pithy, not sure what this word means. What does pithy mean, chat? Serious conversations, too, for hours and hours about everything via voice message. So it's not just about flirting. And in relation to pineapples, I've told him several times that he has to be patient. we're going to go back to this. Until I know him better and trust him. So I hope he doesn't think that I'm an easy girl because of the spicy flirting. How spicy was the poem? I've never slept with him. I've never slept with anyone before 1.5 months have passed, by the way. So I don't know when he will be able to come home. The mother of his child has left the country. She came here to visit her family. And he has to wait until she goes back to the child and then he can come home. Until then, he can't leave his son, of course. Update, at Friday, he is coming home. I updated this post on January 29th, so it's updated. But if not, I don't know how to handle the situation until then and how to behave in person later. If he comes home on Friday, I'd really like him to ask me out for the weekend. But what if he doesn't? The general question. This is always a problem for me, so I need a general answer for my future dating life. I think I've watched all your videos, but there are some I can't find the answers to. Maybe it's a cultural thing. I don't know, but here, at least since primary school, it's not really common to ask if you're going to be my girlfriend in Central Europe. When two people meet in a romantic sense, in my language, we call it a date. English is not my mother tongue. Even if the two people are not yet a couple. That's fine. Yeah, we call it that too. Maybe it's different in English. I don't know. So if I meet someone for the second time, it's also a date in our language. So how do I know if someone is my boyfriend? Oh, okay. We're going to have to answer some questions here. It's not usual to ask if you're going to be my girlfriend. So it's hard to decide what is a relationship and what's just a situationship as time goes on. You said the woman shouldn't ask that, but then how do I know? A guy can introduce you to his friends in a situationship too. It's not so common to introduce each other to family around here before having pineapples. First of all, I would say family is the big monumental shift for sure, because that shouldn't be something that I think most people would be taking lightly. Even my girlfriends find this suggestion strange. Even if a guy says he wants a serious relationship, how do I know during the dating stage that I'm really his girlfriend now? How do I know that I can have girlfriend attitude now, that I can have pineapples? Even months later, they may think it's just a situationship while I already think it's a relationship. For example, someone told me that a woman asked a man after 5 months if they were in a relationship, and it turned out that he said no. Okay, so I see why this is a little bit confusing for you noppers, and I'm going to do my best to answer you in a way that's a little bit outside of my perspective, because I've spent, even though I was born in Nigeria, I've spent majority of my life, basically all my life, living in both America, USA, and Canada, so North America. So my understanding of how people date is really solely focused on how people date in North America, which we have boyfriends and girlfriends, right? But here's the thing. For you, this is a very delicate situation. I'm going to make some assumptions here, and I could be wrong. I'm just making assumptions because you're talking about culture and how it's a little bit different. I'm making an assumption here that if you guys are from Central Europe, I want to highlight where you said it right. If you guys are from Central Europe, usually, Europeans are more family oriented. That's usually the culture. So when I say that, the reason I'm pointing that out is you can use more of your barometer of how things are going based on, have you met his family yet? And I mean, have you firmly been introduced to his family? Because obviously this is an assumption I'm making. If European culture is that you're close to your family and they matter to you a lot, in fact, you might even live with your family longer than most people in North America would, right? Like living with your family until you get married type of thing. If that's the case, then that would definitely be the telltale sign that this is now serious versus it being very casual, especially when it's like a formal meeting. Like, let's say, for example, you're actually going to his family's house to have dinner with his mom and dad. That's the expectation, not something where, he's moving out and you're helping him move and then you meet his mom in passing of helping him move. The objective of you meeting his family that's actually what you're setting a part time for. When you get to that stage, That's what I would consider if I was in your shoes. The relationship is now serious. Now, I'm not saying that you can't ask what he thinks or where his head is at, but I don't want you to be leading. So when you get to that point where you're starting to meet friends or friends, but definitely especially family and the parents and things like that, that's when you start asking him, okay, so how do you feel now? What is your you don't have to say vibe, but like, what are you feeling now? What are you thinking now? You can even just say, after I met your parents now, how do you feel about us? How do you feel about the relationship and how things went? And then let him just flow where he wants to flow. And I'm not necessarily saying you're going to get the perfect answer out of him, but I think when you ask that question at that point, it'll be really clear to you how he feels. Also, vice versa, if you never end up meeting the parents and you're now 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months in, and especially if the culture is that you're very close to your family and that would be such an important part of your relationship, your partner or potential partner meeting your family, and he still hasn't introduced you, well, then that also should tell you a lot about where his head is at. Because if, family and being family oriented in Central Europe is a big thing, as I'm imagining it to be, then that should definitely be something that is happening with someone that you're serious with. And that should be a must happen if you're going to be dating someone and you're going to be European, my assumption, right? So that should definitely be a trigger point for you, or a point where you're starting to gauge how close are we to that? Or how far away are we from that? Is he talking about introducing me to his parents? Is he talking about bringing me by for dinner, or, introducing me to his mom or his dad or whatever? If he's not having any of those discussions with you, I wouldn't make the assumption that this is serious yet. That's my piece of advice to you, to be able to gauge that. Other than that, the only thing you should be doing is asking questions, but you should be knowing that if that pivotal point hasn't come yet, then you're probably not even there yet, which is why there's no need to even be discussing it at that point. So just keep that in mind. All right, let's hop into our next question here. Let me scroll, make sure I don't skip anything. Okay. All right. Yeah, we just did not first. All right. Just Jess. Okay. Dating crisis. Hi, Tomisin. I'm 23 and I'm realizing that all the guys / men in my life have only wanted to sleep with me. I don't think there's a single man that actually liked me. Wait. Damn. Okay. Except maybe a single crush in middle school. I am a virgin and have not slept with any of these men. What can I do to switch this scenario? Wait. Switch what scenario? What are you talking about? What scenario are you trying to switch? Which scenario are you trying to switch? You don't need to be switching no scenario. How can I get men in real life to take interest in me beyond just sleeping with me? I dress nice most of the time. Okay, most of the time. I go out for the day. Since I love putting together outfits, I take pride in my look. But men don't really ever approach me during the day. Only at night and at clubs and parties. Why do you think this? I have a whole show actually on why you might be unapproachable. It's not like I'm dressed slutty at these parties or clubs. I was pretty modest. I was wearing pretty modest clothes, to be honest. So I'm not sure why men don't approach me during the day. And one of the guys at my school that did literally had a girlfriend. Do these men just not have the balls to do it? I've been told that I have a classy / elegant vibe, or that I'm expensive. What do you think about this? Okay, just Jess. So 2 things that I'll mention to you. One, I did a show, it was literally yesterday's show, where we talked about why, 5 reasons you're unapproachable for men. And so I would advise you to watch that whole show, because it'll give you a lot of understanding. If any of those feels like it's you, then that could be part of the reason. So some of the things we mentioned, RBF. RBF is just resting B-word face. We also talked about the way that you might have your body language when you're out at the club or the bar, or even wherever it is you're going. See, this is the thing too. You might think that, hey, I'm not upset or mad or anything like that, but you might just not be self-aware of the energy that your body language is giving off. The other thing that I mentioned yesterday was the kind of the awkward scroller, which I suffer from this as well. When I go out, sometimes when I'm either disinterested or I'm just kind of like, not really vibing, I just get on my phone immediately to kind of kill the awkward time instead of like looking around, right? But the problem is it kind of puts a barrier between you and people that might want to approach you. The other thing that is important to notice, and this could be you that I'm just actually thinking of now because you mentioned this. See, guys, you don't dress weird or anything like that, and you have a nice vibe, which obviously guys are saying you're attractive. You're an attractive woman. Let's assume you're an attractive woman. But the thing about it is, you mentioned that you'll get approached by guys at nightclubs or at parties, just not during the day. The other thing that you might not realize you do just is you might have this energy, and I've seen this happen, and some of you in the chat might have this. Tell me if this is you. You might have this energy that when you go out and you do stuff, you walk like you're on a mission. And like everything that you do when you're out and about is like you're on a mission. I'm not necessarily saying that that's a bad thing, but you have to also understand when men are seeing that, they're like, oh, I can't even approach this girl because she looks like she's literally on a mission. Like if I try to stop her, she's not even going to be paying attention to me. So you also have to understand guys are also gauging that. And sometimes if you're giving off that vibe, and you might not even be doing it purposely, right? You're just giving off the vibe that like, look, I got somewhere to be and I got to be there right now. I'm looking forward. I'm paying attention. I got my headphones in. I'm just going. And it's just like for guys, it's difficult to approach women when they're in that state because they just feel like the chances of her even wanting to talk to me are slim to none. And you have to also acknowledge that men are, if they feel like their chances of success in approaching you is going to be very little, they're less likely to approach you. So even if you're attractive, but when you go out, you look like you're on a mission, they're going to be like, there's no point me approaching you. You're not even going to want to talk to me or even stop to talk to me. You might not even hear me say hello. Vice versa, at parties or nightclubs, you might have a more relaxed look, like are just enjoying your time being there, which is why you end up getting approached more because you don't look like you're on a mission to go do something. I'm not saying it's a character flaw or anything bad. I'm just saying it's something to think about, which would actually make a lot of sense why you get approached at clubs and bars and things like that, where you're in a different state mentally versus when you're going somewhere, because think about it, you're going somewhere. So your mindset is probably being on a mission, which means you're probably walking with purpose very fast. You got a nice strut going on, and you look like you don't have time to waste, which can kind of deter men from wanting to stop you because it looks like you got somewhere to be, okay? Let's hop into our next question here. Okay, let me make sure we don't skip any. Okay, girly girl. Okay, Jennifer, seeking your advice on my relationship. Let me just make sure I send this in. Okay, perfect. Wait a second. Oh, yeah, perfect. Let me do this. Sorry, chat. Just had to make sure I do this. All right. Seeking your advice on my relationship. Hi, Tomisin. I hope you're well. I've been dating a guy for a while, and things took a complicated turn. Here's a quick rundown. The start. I'm 41, and he's 43. We've been dating since September 24th, and we saw each other once a week, with a month-long trip of mine in between. Do we do this? Do we do this one? I think we did this one. With the month when the gifts, wonderful New Year, physical intimacy. We didn't do it? Okay. In between, talking daily while I was away, exchanging gifts and having a wonderful New Year's Eve together. We didn't have physical intimacy throughout as I delayed the progression, but the connection felt good. The conflict, wow, you really laid it out. Things changed when I noticed he was liking photos of his ex and a Brazilian girl he had been with before we started dating. I expressed how this made me uncomfortable and felt disrespected. He dismissed my concerns and I stopped talking to him. Brazilian girl, huh? He deleted his IG and Facebook accounts, then kept asking when I wanted my fish back. Wait. How old? Okay. When I wanted my fish back, he'd been taking care of them. I told him to leave them by my door, but he got angry, calling me a coward for not receiving them in person. I said, it is good this was over. After that, he deleted all photos and reactivated his dating profile. Wait. How long? Okay, okay. Sorry, the final straw. I called him to talk, but he hung up immediately. Why did you call him to talk, though? Why did you even call him to talk? I don't understand. I blocked him everywhere soon after. He messaged me on Skype. What? Asking, what do you want? When I replied, what does it matter now? I wanted to talk. He responded, you act like an adult or you can F off. My dilemma. Now I'm unsure if I handled this well. I didn't want the fish to be an excuse for him to come over. It shouldn't have been. I agree. I wanted him to come home. I wanted him to come to my home to make an effort and show up without needing a reason like the fish. Should I have communicated more clearly about my need for him to step up and prove his commitment? I feel confused. You're not the only one who's confused. He said he loved me. What? But his actions and words don't match. Was I too hard on him, or was he just not willing to put in effort? I love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for your time. He said he loved me. How long were you guys dating? Since September 24th. Okay. All right. Miss Jennifer, I'm a little bit confused, not by your message, but I think that you're in quite a confusing situation, because I thought when he came and returned your fish that you actually didn't want to speak to him. So you calling him back after that, I was genuinely shocked because I didn't even know that you were trying to speak to him still. So I feel like if I'm reading the message from a third person perspective and I had an assumption that you didn't want to speak to him, I think maybe he had the same assumption. And I get it. You wanted him to come to your place for the purpose of talking to you, but I feel like there's a lot of miscommunication going on here. And I don't even want to say, oh, one person's immature or anything like that, but there's a lot of unnecessary miscommunication here. And I just think that it could be solved by you guys having a real conversation about your real feelings. Because I'm even a little bit confused. You're saying the connection felt good, and then obviously like he liked this these photos of the ex, right? Which obviously that's wrong. And then the Brazilian girl, but like, what's the context here? You said he had been dating before we started dating. You're okay, and you're sure of that. But how would you know that? Did you guys have a conversation about that? The other thing I want to mention, this is the conflict, but also if I'm trying to figure out how to say this in the way that'll make the most sense to you. You wanted him to come to you and apologize for the situation that happened. Him liking the Brazilian girl's photos, and who probably has a big bumper. Let's just be honest. He's a Brazilian girl, right? Anyways, the Brazilian girl's photos, and then also liking the ex's photos, which obviously he's wrong in that. I'm not saying that he's right in that. But you expressed how it made you uncomfortable, and you expressed how it made you feel, but you also have to like understand if he has no desire to apologize for his actions and no desire to like actually say, look, I'm sorry for what I did. I'm sorry for how I treated you and I want to make it better. You can't force him to have that desire. You know what I mean? And I agree that he should want to apologize. He should want to show up for you. He should want to actually put his best foot forward and be the bigger person, right? And own up to his mistake. But the reality of it is, if he as a man doesn't feel it's necessary to do that, doesn't see its importance, and doesn't think that, he even needs to do that, then you have to let him live with that. And his punishment for that should be not getting access to you, right? If it really makes you that upset, well, let me even rephrase this. Even if it's a small thing and it makes you upset and he dismisses the fact that you're upset or something bothers you, then you're at a disconnect anyways. Because remember how I was talking about earlier in the show, happy wife, happy life? If a man is not concerned with your happiness, that he is not actually trying to make adjustments or changes when you express the fact that you're uncomfortable with something or you dislike something, then you're not even going to be able to create a working, healthy relationship anyways. Because you need a man to have a desire to make you happy in order for him to make adjustments when you're unhappy. Or else you'll be in stages like this where you have conflict or you peep something or see something that makes you unhappy. Then when you express your unhappiness, he'll just be like, whatever, who cares? So how are we supposed to go on and move on in the relationship if his mentality is whatever, who cares? She's upset. I don't want to apologize. I just want to move on. You're not going to be able to build anything from that. So my point being, I get your dilemma, I get your issue, and I get why it's frustrating for you, but there is nothing else for you to do here. Because if he doesn't feel it's necessary to apologize, then no need to have a conversation with him. And I don't think that you should be the one reaching out. Now, I will say, when he came to your door about the fish and he asked to, give the fish to you and maybe have a conversation with you, I do think you should have allowed him the opportunity to have a conversation with you if that's what he was trying to do. I don't know. I'm just making an assumption. And I think you shutting the door on that kind of created a scenario in which you came across as if you don't want to have any conversation about the situation. And now it's kind of like you went from, I always advise this, right? Whenever you are going through a disagreement with someone, whether it be a friend and especially a romantic partner, make sure you solve your problems with them in person. The worst thing you can do is start trying to fix things or solve problems over text message or over the phone, even a phone call, right? Because it's better to see the person, have conversation with them, hear their voice, see their body language, because it'll always make the conversation go smoother than having it over phone call or even especially over text message. That's the worst thing to do. And so you went from giving yourself the opportunity for you guys to maybe come to an understanding in person, right? By when he came to give the fish back or whatever. And then you went to, now you guys are communicating over Skype in a heat of the argument or heat of the moment where you guys are both emotional. And it's going to be very difficult to come to an understanding that way. So I also think that was a bad thing. But now, the decision you're left with or the next steps for you is to do nothing. You don't have to block him. You can unblock him if you want to see if he'll reach out. But if he doesn't reach out, he doesn't have anything to say, he doesn't want to apologize or make this better or compromise, then you have to just let that be, because you can't force a man to want to apologize or be sorry for his actions. Okay? All right, chat, that's the show for today. For those of you who are wanting to ask me a question, whether it be in our free section, our premium section, or our private section, you can ask me a question through all of those links that are available in my TikTok bio or in my description. For those of you who want to who want to follow me on the Instagram, it's just above my head on the top left corner of the screen. It's Tomisin_Tub. You can follow me on Instagram there if you're watching on TikTok. And if you're watching on YouTube, it's over in my description there at the bottom. You can find the link to my Instagram there as well. For those of you who are watching on TikTok and you want to rewatch the show because you came late or you missed some parts, my YouTube is just above my head on the top right corner of the screen. It's my name, Tomisin. Once you go onto my YouTube channel, go into the live section and you'll be able to see this live stream and all the other live streams I've done since the beginning of time. And you'll have the YouTube and TikTok live chat embedded in the video so you won't miss a second of conversation that we have on the show, okay? For those of you who want to catch me live and direct again, you can catch me tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time because I'm live every weekday, 4 p.m. EST. Got to figure out what time that is in your time zone. So I'm here tomorrow at 4 p.m. EST. Until we meet again tomorrow, I bid you adieu. Hasta la vista, sayonara, adios, ciao, salam, baoni, arrivederci. I think we did them all. Bon voyage. And I'll see you again tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I love you so much. Oh, let me do this one donation. Thank you so much. Henya donates $20 in our YouTube chat. She says, I fired my therapist. Sir Tomisin is my new therapist. See blessings with gratitude. My new moon blessings. Thank you. Thank you, Henya. Thank you for your support. And thank you for being a loyal and amazing channel member. All right, chat. I'll see you all tomorrow. I love you so